In 2026, it seems that cell phones have stopped surprising us. With each new announcement, what we see is a digital makeover. Same structure, same promises, and prices increasingly detached from reality. Who would have thought that paying $2,000 for a rectangle that scratches with your fingernail would become something acceptable? Since the iPhone 6, no one has truly been blown away. Not even the most fanatical Apple supporters could feign excitement for the iPhone 17, whose sales plummeted by more than 60%. And what about the iPhone Air? It almost vanished into thin air. Apple had to hit the brakes before it even gained momentum. On the other hand, Samsung seems to live in automatic mode. Change the camera filter, adjust the brightness here and there, and presto, we have innovation. But the public is no longer the same. Consumers are increasingly attentive, more demanding, and more impatient with this marketing charade. It's no use painting the same product gold and pretending it's real gold. And the most curious thing is seeing companies swimming in billions, pretending that small improvements justify absurd price increases. A cell phone that doubles in price, but doesn't double its usefulness. The truth is, people are tired of buying the same thing every year. Tired of disguised upgrades, recycled promises, and, above all, being treated like hostages of a closed system. Brand loyalty has become a kind of comfortable prison. You stay not because you love it, but because leaving seems like a hassle. And meanwhile, the real user experience remains stalled. Batteries that die quickly, fragile devices, systems that crash, and prices that keep rising. Tim Cook even tried to justify it. He said that launching everything in the same quarter was wearing down the teams and compromising quality. He even announced that starting in 2026, Apple's releases would be in 2 phases per year. It sounds noble, but it sounds more like a desperate gasp from someone who can no longer cope. It's no coincidence that the new models in the iPhone 18 line, including the much-talked-about Fold, will only arrive in the second half of the year, and with prices starting at $199.99. Not very affordable for something that should be accessible. And look how the cycle repeats itself. For years, Apple and Samsung resisted the idea of foldable phones. They said it wasn't the right time, that the technology was still too raw. But now, with the pressure mounting and sharp competitors arriving, they've started to play catch-up, a move that didn't come from choice, but from fear of falling behind. In this game, innovation is no longer an option, it's a requirement. It is in this vacuum of authenticity that an unexpected name emerges, coming from another sector, but with an appetite to devour entire markets. Tesla. While the telecommunications giants floundered with recycled promises, Elon Musk was quietly preparing something completely different. Not just a new device, but a new concept of smartphone. One that wouldn't just be another model, but a real threat to the reign of Apple and Samsung. And when Musk moves, the entire market holds its breath. The Pi phone arrives unannounced, already pulling out a chair at the table of giants. Elon Musk, with his direct and provocative style, announced that Tesla's new smartphone will officially launch in January 2026, and it won't be alone. Besides its eye-catching foldable design, the device promises up to 7 days of battery life with just 30 minutes of charging. That's right, a whole week without needing a power outlet. But the icing on the cake is even bolder. Completely free internet via Starlink, forever. This isn't an extra. It's a punch in the gut for the mobile carriers. While Apple and Samsung are still trying to justify their prices with brightness adjustments or slightly better sensors, Musk comes with a starting price of $789 and a proposition that's hard to ignore. Instead of squeezing the consumer with fees, plans, and forced upgrades, Tesla aims for the opposite, offering freedom. No contracts, no surprises on the bill, no feeling of being squeezed dry. And the most incredible thing is seeing this coming from a brand that, until recently, wasn't even on the smartphone map. But the game here goes far beyond price. It's about purpose. The Pi phone doesn't want to compete with current cell phones. It wants to dismantle the system. Tesla's focus is on delivering something that works in the real world, with real functionality, and not just marketing numbers. The user no longer needs to choose between a good battery or a good camera, between a stable connection or a powerful processor. The promise is to have all of that in one place, with an approach centered on experience and not profit. And when we talk about connectivity, it's impossible not to return to the most explosive point: lifetime Starlink included in the device. This changes absolutely everything. What used to be a monthly expense is now built into the phone itself. Imagine never again depending on signal coverage or suffering from running out of data. Whether in the middle of the city or on top of a mountain, the Pi phone promises to keep you connected. It's a direct blow to the heart of the traditional telecom model, and there's no going back. The announcement of the Pi phone shook things up so much that even competitors started to react. Apple, for example, rushed to announce the iPhone 18 Fold, a foldable model that clearly tries to respond to Tesla's impact. But while Apple's device already arrives with rumors of instability in the crease and prices starting at $2,000, the Pi phone bets on robustness and accessibility. It's as if a new standard had been established even before the official launch. Beyond connectivity and battery life, what also caught attention was the serious commitment to foldability. Elon Musk stated that it made no sense to launch a phone with this design if it was going to repeat the same mistakes as Samsung and Huawei. The Pi phone will come with the so-called Flex hinge, a multi-rail hinge guaranteed for 300,000 folds, which averages out to 80 openings per day for 10 years. Now, that's true reliability. And as if that weren't enough, the device unfolds into an 8-inch screen without a visible crease, something no competitor has convincingly achieved so far. When closed, it's thinner than current models on the market, making it practical and elegant. When open, it becomes almost a mini tablet, ideal for those who work, play, watch, or create content anywhere. With satellite internet, by the way, it's almost a pocket-sized command center. While the design is eye-catching and the price is surprising, it's in the construction that the Pi phone truly begins to humiliate its competitors. Elon Musk decided to ignore the race for increasingly fragile cell phones and opted for a bolder path: real durability. No glass that cracks with a breath, or paint that peels off in the first week. The Pi phone is made with aerospace-grade titanium, the same used in SpaceX rockets, covered by a self-healing nanolayer. This means that superficial scratches simply regenerate over time. It sounds like science fiction, but it's already become Tesla standard. Unlike the iPhone 17, with its protruding camera that makes the device wobble on a table like a wobbly table, the Pi phone is level, solid, and symmetrical. It doesn't have that feeling of always being about to fall or break. The camera module is integrated into the body of the device, maintaining balance and preventing any wobbling when placed on a surface. It's a simple detail, but it shows how every aspect of the device was designed with logic, and not just fleeting aesthetics. Anyone who has owned a premium cell phone for more than a year knows the struggle. Scratches on the sides, peeling on the volume button, and the dreaded fading in humid environments. Tesla has decided to end this cycle of frustration. The Pi phone's finish resists moisture, sweat, oxidation, and heat, maintaining its like-new appearance even after months of use without a case. In durability tests, the device received a score of 9, 2 out of 10, easily surpassing the iPhone 17, which barely reached 7.5. And it's not just about surviving falls, it's about longevity. The Pi phone was made to last, to go through the years with dignity. It's not the kind of device that forces you to buy a new one in 2 years just because the paint faded or the button sank in. It wants you to use it for 5, maybe 10 years, with the same confidence as day one. For those who are tired of the cycle of planned obsolescence, this is like listening to good music after years of noise. Now imagine that combined with a folding system that doesn't look like a makeshift solution. The so-called flex hinge, patented by Tesla, is a multi-rail hinge capable of opening and closing 300,000 times without wear. This means you can fold the device 80 times a day for a decade, and it will still work perfectly. No unsightly creases, and no feeling of, "This is going to break any day now." The screen itself is a showstopper. When opened, it reveals an 8-inch AMOLED 2X panel, without bezels or warped curves. It's like carrying a super-thin tablet in your pocket. This completely changes the user experience. Editing documents, playing games, watching movies, drawing, everything becomes more practical, wider, more immersive. And since the device is thin even when closed, there's no uncomfortable bulk in your pocket or bag. Everything was designed for real-world, everyday use. But perhaps the most clever detail is in the touch. The Pi phone has a matte, fingerprint-resistant back, which prevents constant smudges and eliminates those annoying shirt wipes. Furthermore, it has a grip system that makes it easy to use with one hand, even though it's foldable. It's the kind of detail that shows. It wasn't made in a hurry. It was made with purpose. If the structure is impressive, what's inside the Pi phone is even more surprising. While competitors are content to refine the same chip year after year, Tesla decided to tear up the rule book. No more lithium-ion batteries with short cycles and overheating. At the heart of the Pi phone beats a 6712 mAh aluminum-ion battery, developed with Tesla's own technology. The result? An absurd battery life of up to 7 days and 56 hours of continuous YouTube streaming. And all this with just 30 minutes of charging. And it's not that fast charging that degrades the battery in a few months. The Pi phone's charging system was calibrated to balance speed and longevity. Instead of promising 0 to 100 in 10 minutes just to look good in advertising, Tesla opted for a smarter approach. 10% to 80% in about 35 minutes. Fast enough for everyday use, but gentle enough to keep the battery healthy for years. It's the kind of compromise that shows respect for the user, something rare in 2026. But the battery is just the beginning. Inside the Pi phone is the X23 chip, a monstrous 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU manufactured with a 2-nanometer architecture. This means it's capable of handling 8K gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, heavy multitasking, and still keeping the device cool and fluid. While other phones struggle with apps running in the background, the Pi phone flies, even with everything running at the same time. This performance is also possible because Tesla decided to break with traditional operating systems. No Android, no iOS. The Pi phone runs XOS, a proprietary system built from scratch on Linux, and designed to operate with local artificial intelligence, without relying on the cloud. This means less battery consumption, more privacy, and instant responses, since all processing happens on the device itself. No spying servers, no personalized ads, no tracking. For those tired of seeing their phone freeze up after a year, or worse, start to age on purpose with dubious updates, the Pi phone is a relief. It doesn't slow down over time. On the contrary, since the system is adaptive and updates are based on chip performance, the device only tends to improve as software improvements are released. It's continuous evolution, not a trap disguised as something new. Another point that leaves any iPhone in the dust is thermal control. The Pi phone uses an advanced dissipation system inspired by Tesla's electric car batteries, which prevents overheating even in the most extreme scenarios. This means you can play games, edit videos, or run demanding applications without feeling your phone turning into an iron. The thermal comfort is real and makes a difference in the durability of the internal components. And it's curious to see how all this happens without the device becoming a clunky device. Even with all this embedded engineering, the Pi phone remains thin, light, and silent. There are no fans. There's no excess heat. There are no freezes. It's as if Tesla took all the problems of current cell phones, listed them one by one, and solved them all with practical solutions. And the best part? Without having to charge us $2,000 for it. If the performance was already impressive up to now, it's in the operating system that the Pi phone truly changes the game. Instead of relying on ready-made platforms like Android or iOS, Tesla simply created XOS, its own operating system, written from scratch on a Linux base. But this isn't just another system with a different look. It's designed to work 100% locally, without depending on the cloud. In other words, no tracking, no ads, no secret processes draining your battery behind the scenes. The experience is immediate. When you turn on the device, everything responds quickly, without forced transitions or hiccups. This is because the XOS was built with a focus on efficiency, lightness, and personalization. It's not bloated with useless pre-installed apps, nor does it force the user to link accounts on external servers to unlock features. Here, you're in complete control. And perhaps that's the most revolutionary part. Tesla doesn't want to sell your data. It wants you to use the device. Period. And there's more. The XOS isn't alone. It comes integrated with xAI, Tesla's proprietary artificial intelligence system, which learns from the user's habits directly on the device. This means that your preferences, usage patterns, touches, and searches are analyzed locally, without sending a single line of code to cloud servers. Privacy is treated as a fundamental right, not a premium luxury. In times when even a search on your phone can become an advertisement on Instagram, this change is gigantic. Another noteworthy feature is the system's efficient use of battery power. The XOS understands your periods of heavy use and also when you need more energy savings. It intelligently pauses processes, reorganizes priorities in real time, and keeps apps running in the background without consuming unnecessary energy. All this happens without you even noticing. There's no need for external managers or to worry about closing windows manually. The system thinks for you, but without stealing control. And for those tired of the app war between Android and iOS, here's some good news. XOS supports an integrated bridge between both ecosystems. In other words, it's possible to run both apps optimized for the Tesla platform and adapted versions of competing systems with surprising fluidity. This breaks down the barrier that keeps many people stuck with older systems just because of apps. With the Pi phone, you can migrate without losing your digital world. One feature that caught the attention of those who tested the prototypes was the dynamic interface, which changes throughout the day. The XOS adjusts the color palette, the organization of icons, and even function suggestions according to the time of day, your location, and the context of use. All this is done by a system that, again, doesn't spy on you. It's as if the phone adapts to your lifestyle, not the other way around. Something competitors have been trying to do for years,